The ZOTL had its beginning in kind of a strange way. I was trying to build a different kind of switching amplifier, not a Class D like they have now, the pulse width modulation, but something that used the technology of my power supplies, which is a resonant power converter. And so I was trying to come up with a way of building an audio circuit that would, an amplifier that would use that technology. And my thought was that because a power supply of that nature, it's called a series parallel resonant converter, circulates full current all the time, but it puts the current, puts unused power back into the power line. So it doesn't dissipate much heat, but you have continual circulating current. And so I thought, well, that's sort of like, you know, maybe emulating a Class A amplifier, and might have the advantages of that if I could, you know, pull it off but not have the heat. So that's what I was trying to do initially. And I did manage to make something which kind of worked, but it had some problems with noise and switching glitches and stuff like that, which I really didn't think I could resolve. So I gave up on that, and I tried something else. I tried something using a little DC to DC converter with a vacuum tube load, and to see whether I could use that to you know, substitute for an audio output transformer. And so I put this thing together, and it actually did work. And I said, you know, this looks interesting. I have a hard time seeing how it could sound very good, but you know, I think I'm going to try and build an amplifier out of this, and just see what happens. And you know, I have this. Every year I supply music for our Christmas office party, and so I said, you know, I'm going to build this amplifier. I'm going to make it physically really small, but still make it fairly powerful, like 50 watts or so. And you know, have this little box with the tube sticking out, no transformers, so it'll be really light. And I'm sure it's not going to sound very good, but you know, these people are going to be all drunk anyway, so you know, the sound quality really doesn't matter. It's just more of a, you know, just an interesting, eye-catching thing. So I built the amplifier, and you know, tested it. It looked pretty good. And I listened to it, and I was kind of blown away by it. It just really seemed to, you know, do some really nice things. And up until that point in time, I had been making transformer-coupled amplifiers with output transformers. And there was a test record that I used of a Shostakovich string quartet. And it was a very, very difficult recording to reproduce correctly. And I could make, you know, 2 of the 4 instruments sound, you know, pretty convincing, but the other 2 didn't. And I could modify the amplifier a little bit and tweak this and that, and I might pick up one of the other instruments sounding convincing, but then I'd lose one of the ones that had sounded okay before. So I pulled out that record, that LP, and I played it, and all 4 instruments sounded very convincing with this, you know, this amplifier that was supposed to be a crazy thing that, you know, for a drunken office party. And so I stayed up all night just listening, one record after another, and I was really excited about this thing. And so at that point in time, I decided, you know, I got to do something with this. And ultimately, I did, you know, file and receive a patent for it. And it's really, it sounds like it's impossible that this thing would work. It's based on a on DC to DC switching power supply converters, replacing an audio output transformer. And, and it ultimately, became what's now known as the ZOTL. Well, they all got drunk. They enjoyed the music. I don't know.
Did you consider it a success then?
Oh, the amplifier was a success beyond my wildest dreams because I wasn't expecting, anything outside of just a novelty amplifier, just, to have around and in this case, just provide music to the Christmas office party without having to lug a big heavy thing, which, prior to that, well, I did have to lug the speakers and, which were just the Rogers LS35, so they weren't too bad. But then I took the big heavy Revox tape deck, and that's how that was my music source, is open reel tape, which I, put together mixes of Christmas and pop and classical and whatever, just to make a interesting mix of music for the, for the office party. Yeah, I did that every year. But when I first started doing it, I was carting, some pretty heavy transformer-laden amplifiers, and, having this nice little, 50 watt, which was more than enough. In fact, it was really more than you should have for the Rogers LS35s. It was in something that weighed probably less than 10 pounds, because it wasn't in a fancy chassis. It was just in some ugly box. Probably might have weighed 5 pounds. I don't know, but it was very, very light, and so and small. So it was ideal for, a portable music system like that. But it just, beyond that, the damn thing just sounded really good, and better than my transformer coupled amps, which just so that was the end of transformer coupled amps for me. I didn't make any more, outside of maybe one or two oddball things, for a specialty requirement. But I was done.